Welcome to CS Design Studios' presentation, The Marketing Corner, with co-host Sean Campbell and Wyatt Chambers. The Marketing Corner is your source for the latest and greatest in today's world of marketing and entrepreneurship. And now, without further ado, it's Sean Campbell and Wyatt Chambers.
And welcome to the CS Design Studios presents The Marketing Corner with yours truly, Sean Campbell, and engineer, social media, podcast, Padawan, Lily. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. We have a little bit of an unorganized setup today.
Yeah,
because our special guest came in and she was like, "Okay, I want to be here. I want there." We had makeup for each one of us.
Yep.
We got a very special guest. When we were putting together a guest list, I wanted my top 5 people I wanted, and Veronica Garcia was actually in the top 5. And I've been very lucky that 5 people that I've wanted to start this new kind of direction we're going with this podcast, everybody said yes. So thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
We had a little bit of a delay from the original schedule. Is your dog doing okay?
Yeah. She got attacked by a hawk or an owl.
The whole office was talking about it for a few days, by the way.
Oh, really?
Because we do have a few dogs here.
Oh, yeah, the little one.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful that your dog's okay.
Me too.
We were all worried about it. And for a few days here, it was like, how's Veronica's dog? And so.
I sent you the video?
You did not send the video.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Otherwise, we would have had it on the screen. But thank you for coming on. You've been good?
Yes.
Business going well?
Great.
I really, we're going to get into a series of questions here, but I really enjoyed one of your last videos when you were talking. I think you were doing an open house, and you were talking about interest rates.
Yeah.
And, even though they're high now, that if you do now, later you can refinance.
Yes.
So get into that a little bit, kind of reiterate what you said about that.
So I think everybody remembers the last 2 years where there were 10, 20 offers on the same house and people were paying $10,000, $20,000 over. So now we don't have that because interest rates are so high. So not as many people qualify for the same type of house with the same type of payment.
Right.
So a lot of people are waiting. They're just, sitting there with their saving up, ready to provide these offers with extra thousands of dollars over the purchase price. So the bad thing is that all these people are waiting, and when the rates go down, there's going to be the last 2 years that happened again. So if you have the ability to afford a higher payment right now, you might as well buy the house, pay the higher payment for a little while. So when the rates drop and everybody wants to, get in on the competition, you get to avoid that because you already have the house. But you still get to refinance, so you still get that lower payment, but you have no competition.
Yeah.
Which competition sucks.
Yeah.
Who likes it?
I mean, just the fact that you provided that information, just another option, a lot of your social media is just like that. And you really position yourself. How many realtors are in town?
Oh, I don't know, hundreds.
Thousands. Last I heard, there's at least between 5,000 and 6,000 realtors.
I think there's only hundreds that work.
Right.
A lot of people are licensed, but they're not really using it.
And of those hundreds that work, there's yourself and maybe a couple others that actually provide value and information. Good. There's nothing more that drives me crazy than a realtor saying, there's a house for sale. I sold one. There's a house for sale, and I sold one. And you give no value and information. So I really appreciate what you do on that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So now that we got the fluffy stuff out of the way, time for the hard questions here.
Okay.
You've always branded yourself, and we're talking about this before we started, as a realtor that specializes with people that are unfortunately going through a divorce, right? So, but you had a little bit of a redirection this morning. What would you call it? It's the same thing, but maybe a different twist.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that's been going through my mind the past couple weeks is I don't want people to think that I'm promoting divorce. I hate divorce. Divorce sucks. So I thought about how can I make sure that people don't think that and also provide more service because that's my life purpose is to provide help and service. So I was just thinking that I need to incorporate preventative ways of staying away from divorce, because I still want my overall theme to be divorce, because I've
Right.
just learned so much about it the past 7 years since I went through it, and then just involving real estate and everything like that. And then I also facilitate support groups for divorce. So
nice.
that's taught me a whole bunch, So I want to incorporate that and find ways for people who are maybe like on the verge of divorce that actually have the ability to compromise and work through it, like give them abilities to do that too. And I mean, then it goes into real estate too, because maybe they'll be like bettering their lives themselves, and now it's time to upgrade.
Yeah.
So use me too.
Reconciliation, their family grows because of that.
Right, exactly.
They need a bigger home.
Yep.
Right? So either way, you win. That's awesome. So how does that tie into your why? And you kind of mentioned it about 7 years ago. You kind of went through that yourself, and I went through that years and years ago, and it's still, I wouldn't. All my friends that have any type of relationships, and they're like, Sean, I'm like, no, you want to stay together.
Yeah.
You don't want to go through what I did. It's not fun at all. But what you kind of mentioned a little bit, well, what's your why? What's your purpose for all this?
So I never planned to get divorced. Nobody does.
Right.
I probably would have stayed married if I could have, if the other person was willing to compromise or to work through it. But when it all happened, it was just like he was done.
Yeah.
Moved on.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an opportunity to even try to fix it. But so I know that when I was in that whole situation, it was so hard. Like I got laid off. My performance at work was so bad. Just because I was so focused on like how sad I was and everything like that. And in the divorce support groups too, like that's pretty much everybody's in that situation. Like, how am I ever going to do anything in life? What's the point? And it's so cool to look back now 7 years later and see that I'm like how thankful I am that I did get the opportunity to get divorced from this man who was like holding me back from so much. So I don't know. I always look at the positives of everything. And I think that when somebody's down in that situation, like it's really hard to deal with anything. Right. So let me handle the stress, because luckily I'm not in that anymore. And I can kind of see the bigger picture where you're going to be in 5 years. So just that, I think I have a lot of, I've been told I have a lot of patience. I don't think I'm patient. I think I'm so like the most impatient person in the world. Yeah. But like I always get complimented on how patient I am. So maybe it's just my high standards. Yeah. But since I'm patient, I have no problem listening to people and like what they're struggling with. Like you can vent to me all day and I'll just, So that's like probably the biggest thing, because people are so emotional and frustrated, and there's so many things going back and forth. Like you really have to be able to deal with two personalities that are just so stressed, so mad at each other, and be the mediator who finds solutions that work for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm really good at that. Like that's something, that's a skill I have. So I guess that's kind of why I took this on, is that I love fixing problems. I love I love the solution at the end. So, yeah.
You seem to love to work too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing, Lily, I don't know if I told you this, but Veronica actually and I worked together at her previous employment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't know each other that well at all. We're in
No.
the same position. I don't know if we're on the same team or not.
I think different departments.
Different departments on the same floor.
Yeah.
So she never said hi to me. I was
really focused.
That and not a lot of people say hi to me at all back then. So she was part of the popular group, and I was kind of, but I didn't know you and I were both very impatient too.
Yeah.
I get told that a lot too. Oh, you're so patient. I'm really not.
Right?
I'm really not.
I don't know.
I think I hate it very well.
Maybe that's what we do.
Yeah, I'll go outside, and whenever I take a walk, Lily, I'm like about to blow up. And I'm just
Good to know.
Does he take a lot of walks?
Yeah.
I do. I get my steps in. That's what I tell. I'm just going to get some steps in, guys. I'll be right back. What's some of the biggest misconceptions when somebody's either buying and or selling a home? What's one thing that people 9 out of 10 times when they go in and they want to buy or sell a home is the biggest like misconception about the whole process?
So I think one of the big realizations for sellers is that when a purchase happens, the seller pays all the realtor commissions. So it can easily come across for the seller like, well, I'm paying for everything, you know? But one thing that sellers have to realize is that the reason that their price is priced that way is because that's what other houses in the market are selling for. And all those other houses in the market are using the same percentage of commissions. So if we were to, let's just say, cut the commission in half that the seller's paying, we would really need to sell that property for whatever that difference is.
Right.
It's kind of like for sale by owner.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy a for sale by owner house, you should be cutting out that percentage when you're paying for the house or when you're offering the house. But a lot of people, a lot of sellers, especially for sale by owners, still think that they should, I guess, kind of be paying themselves that commission.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not giving you the same protection that you would be getting if you're working with realtors.
Right.
So that might be a misconception, is like, why do I need to work with a realtor? Why do I need to pay them so much? But really, like, good realtors, this is like 100% of our income, right? So we do make a lot of money. And there's some transactions that I go through and I'm like, wow, that was an easy one. Like, did I deserve that commission? But most of them there's a lot of work that you don't even see that happens because we're like keeping the frustrations from you. Like maybe I talked to the title company who totally forgot to process your paperwork, right? And you don't know that happened, but I spent like 2 days emailing and calling to make sure that something went through. Or working with lenders, same thing. So I think that might be a misconception. I know my mom, she is very frugal. And when I was like 10, she sold our house and she did for sale by owner. And I always think of that because like people don't want to spend money if they don't have to.
Right.
But there's so many things that could have arisen from my mom trying to sell the house by herself.
Yeah.
Luckily it didn't.
Yeah.
But also like I haven't gone back, to look at like the details of the transaction or whatever. But I'm sure she could have got more money out of it. So that's when houses were like selling for $85,000.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about when you're buying a home?
When you're buying a home, I don't think, so buyers never have to pay the commission. So there's never a reason you shouldn't use a realtor. I don't think everybody knows that because just the other day I was helping somebody that I had helped buy a house 3 years ago. And she's like, how do you get paid for this? And I'm like, well, the seller pays me. Like I even had to remind her. So it's not top of mind. So there should never be a reason why you wouldn't use a realtor. I think that's one of the misconceptions. What else? Interest rates scare people. But there's also like so many creative ways around whatever you think the issue is. And that's like my skill. Like if you give me a reason you're not buying a house, I'll tell you why you should.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a good place because I would never tell you should buy a house if you shouldn't.
Right.
But yeah, so with interest rates, if you have a lot of money saved, instead of putting down a high payment or a high down payment, you can buy down your interest rate for like $10,000, let's say. Yeah. So let's say you're going to put $50,000 down on your next home. Take $10,000 of that, put a $40,000 payment down instead, and then buy your rate down. And your mortgage payment could be like $200, $300, $400 less. Wow. You're still getting a way lower rate, maybe a 5-6 instead of a 7.
Wow. Very interesting.
Wow. Yeah. There's so much information, but it's like more of a one-on-one thing, Yeah.
So this next question, it has to do a little bit with real estate, but in general, right? I mean, what is some advice for somebody that you would give that wants to get into real estate as you are, or just in business for themselves? I mean, you're more than a realtor, you're a small business owner, right? So whether it's real estate or not, and a friend comes up to you and says, Veronica, I want to start my own business, or I want to be a realtor. What are some little tidbits of advice that you would give her or him before they take that plunge?
Yeah.
That's a good question, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you're looking at me going, that's a good one, Sean.
So I think it's the dream for everybody to own their own business. Like,
Right.
it's a great idea.
Right.
You know, just like becoming a realtor is a great idea. Everybody at some point wants to do it. I actually didn't. I just fell into it, but that's another story. But as far as opening your own business, you have to really have motivation because I've been doing it for 7 years now. And there's so many times where like, I'm just like, I'm going to relax today. I'm going to watch movies all day. Who's going to stop me? And then, but that one day of not working, you know, a week from then you're like, oh, that's hurting me now, or a month from now. So really you got to be self-motivated. I think I'm self-motivated. I think I'm very driven. I think a lot of people would agree with me. Like, I'm not okay just staying at one place or one level. But I've realized that if I don't have somebody motivating me every day in some way, that it's like really hard to just stay positive. So, but I did find that all I need to do to get that like start in the morning is watch a YouTube video from some speaker or some professional person that's doing really good, and it changes my whole day.
Is someone locally or somebody nationally? I mean,
Nationally
who
or
are
locally.
some of the people that you put in his video on YouTube? It gets you going.
Oh, names! I'm so bad with
I got one with you.
Yeah.
One for you while you're thinking. David Goggins, Goggins.
Yeah.
If you listen to any of his books, he has 2 books. You would never make an excuse for yourself ever the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The guy has been through so much.
Oh, you know, somebody sent me his book.
Yeah.
He's like the sailor.
Military. Yeah, he was a military guy. He was not only a Navy SEAL, but he became an Army Ranger.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I won't give too much away, but you will never make an excuse for yourself the rest of your life because of all. Just when he tells one story about what he went through, there's like 12 more other stories that he's been through. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like it gets more intense every time.
Yeah.
So the things that he went through as a child all through his career, you'll never make an excuse ever any day of your life because you're like, that guy did it with a hole in his heart.
Oh my God.
Literally, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, so I've been listening to a lot of just both of his books over and over again. And there's always something new that I pick up. But who else for you, if you put in their video or their book or Tony
Yeah.
Robbins or...
Yeah. I'm thinking of this blonde lady and I can't think of her name. She wears glasses. She's so super awesome. I'd have to like grab my phone to see. But just so many.
What's her
Robbins
what's
like,
her stick? What's her
is her
spiel?
name Mel Robbins?
Mel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Mel.
Same last
yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's her story? What about her story that motivates you?
Ooh. So she had this book that I read that was just like 8 different short stories about different people. And she came up with the realization that you really just, whatever, even if you don't know what you want to be. So this could be like somebody that wants to be a business owner or wants to improve their life. So even if you don't know what that end goal is, you just keep doing things that you like, that you're passionate about, and you take one step, and then that step's going to lead to another. So like, let's say you want to help people, right? Maybe you find a volunteer activity. So you go volunteer at this activity, and then maybe one of the people that you volunteer with runs a community center or something, right? And then so everything, and then you go do that, and then there you meet somebody else, and it's just this whole life plan that gets you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
And eventually you find your purpose. You look back and you're like, oh, kind of like me. Like, I didn't plan to be a divorce specialist, you know, but like that's what life gave me. I didn't even plan to be a realtor. I got laid off. And then my realtor that had just sold me my house after my divorce needed an assistant. So I was like, okay, I need a paycheck.
Yeah.
And then it turned into this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I got laid off, again, we were laid off at the same place. That taught me a lot, and it really gave me a kick in the butt, right? So there's so many things that I learned from that, and so many things that I'm grateful for that. You know, I learned, one, like who my real friends were. Because literally it went from me and, you know, I don't know if you remember the group of guys I used to hang out with, to like nobody literally the next day.
Oh.
You know, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
okay.
They're great people. They're great people. But it when I started to work for myself, especially, and I don't know, because you're part of a team, kind of, but you work for yourself, but you kind of belong to a phenomenal team here in town. Do you ever kind of get quote unquote lonely working for yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have always wanted to be a solo agent. I was on a team for 6 months, and I learned so much from that realtor and that team. But I just didn't want to work for anybody. Like I felt like I was going back to where I
So are
was.
you with a team right now?
No.
Oh.
But I'm thinking about maybe creating a team.
Oh.
But, I really don't like teams because I feel like so much of your commission is taken away.
But you're a good leader, though.
I know. So I have like...
And confident.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I have 10 years of management experience, right? And then I have 7 more years of sales experience.
Right.
And, like, it only makes sense that I would use that leadership and the sales experience to have a team.
Right.
But I have such a stigma against teams because I don't want to take 50% of somebody's, like, hard worked money. And I know there's expenses and all of this stuff that goes into it. So maybe I need to wrap my head around that. But if I could find a way to balance it,
Right.
that would be great. But in the meantime, I just moved over to EXP kind of for this reason as like the next step. Because EXP allows you to bring in agents under you.
Okay.
And you could do whatever you want. Like you could just go and recruit agents to come in and then not do anything with them.
Yeah.
But it allows me to give my time, to see the value in like giving my time, because you do end up getting like a little portion of their commissions every month.
Right.
So, but I would help these people for free, probably these new agents, right? But it's kind of nice, and it is more, I guess, fulfilling to get paid for it.
Yeah.
Even if it's like in a little way, but it's really nice because I'm not taking any extra money. Like they're still paying the brokerage fee, and I'm just getting some of that brokerage fee. So that works for me really well. I also just got certified to be a mentor.
Oh, nice.
So that's for like brand new agents to get a little more of their commission for a few things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to find a way to not either feel like I'm taking people's hard-earned money, like I am doing something for them, or just find a way to take less, but still.
Yeah. I think you're undervaluing yourself a little bit. I do.
I do that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my biggest thing when I was working for myself. And one of the reasons why I came over to CS when we merged at the beginning of this year is one, I miss working with people.
Yeah.
I'm not as lonely as I was a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is the brokerage that I was with was small, and working solo was so different. But the EXP is like a team, even without bringing anybody under me.
Yeah.
But what were you saying?
No, I think you're undervaluing yourself of what you could actually bring as a mentor.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned here at CS is how much I'm really worth.
Oh.
It's phenomenal. I get to work with Lily and kind of, teach her some of the ropes, but with all the other people here, that I do miss being like the quote unquote leader because I miss serving people.
Yeah.
And,
well, I know even conversations that we have.
Yeah.
Like you're not ever, like I come here thinking you're going to sell me something, right? Because that's how the world works.
Yeah.
But like the last time we met, you didn't. You like actually just like refreshed a lot of my business ideas. And I left not paying for anything. But like from that, if I ever am going to use this type of services, like I'm going to go to you first because you've already done so much for me.
Yeah. Well, and vice versa. If I ever get divorced, I'm just kidding.
You can stay together and still buy a house for me.
Yeah, I can do that. If I ever need a home, then I know where to go to, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we got a few more questions here. I think you kind of already hit upon it, but what's your superpower? What makes you Veronica Garcia?
Did I hit on it? What did you pick up on?
I'm nuts. You're going to
Tell
answer
me after. My superpower. I don't know. So I think I'm just really good at helping people. Like I'm just like servant's heart for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm creative. I'm really good at fixing things. So I guess anybody that has a problem or a situation, especially if it's like a little more tricky, like I get so much satisfaction out of that. So maybe that's my superpower.
You're a problem solver.
Yeah.
You like to.
With a good heart.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
There we go. I'm going to use that.
Few and far between those are. What's your kryptonite?
Ooh. Naps. I love naps.
Naps
but
are
they're
good. Power
right?
naps, they're good.
Yeah, it's like Spain? Is that who takes naps?
España, yeah. No, they take a lot of naps there.
Yeah, but it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah, it refreshes you.
Yeah, you like are feeling, sluggish.
Yeah.
If you can take a 30, 45.
I'm kind of afraid to take a nap here because I don't want somebody to take a photo of me,
Yeah, no.
and post it. And
I can't
say,
nap
"Look at
in
Sean."
public. Can't even sleep on planes.
I can nap in my car.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
can
Take a
throw
little
that-
walk.
Put the AC on and I'm going to take a walk, guys, and I'm just napping in my car.
No.
Oh man. So you talked a little bit about motivation a little bit, and you talked like some of what on a personal level motivates you, your kids, your
Oh, yeah.
you know.
So freedom is definitely
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So money, obviously, but it all relates to freedom. If I make good money, I'm free. If
Right.
I'm a realtor versus a 9-to-5er,
Right.
I still have a lot of freedom.
Right.
Which is important for me and my kids because I have the freedom to go to a baseball game
Yeah.
or to go to, an award
Right.
recognition.
Yeah.
They're getting a little certificate at school, which
Yeah.
my parents never got to do because they were working 9-to-5.
Yeah.
So definitely freedom is it, and whatever comes with that, or whatever it takes to get that freedom.
2 more questions. You can go anywhere for dinner tonight at a local place. Where are you going?
Sushi, for sure.
Where?
I don't want to give the name because it's
Why?
a secret.
It's a secret sushi spot.
Yeah, it might it might get busy, but that would be good for them.
Is that
So-
part of why you like it because it's not too busy?
Well, it is always busy still.
Well,
Maybe they would expand. Okay, I'll talk about it. It's called Yo Sushi. It's right there near the Tucson Mall.
Tucson Mall.
Yeah. Look,
Yo
they're
Sushi.
gonna have. You're welcome, Yo. No, it's really good. They have all you can eat sushi for like the cheapest in town, and it's like good quality. So that's where I go.
Second thing, what's your favorite, most physical activity? Because it seems you go hiking a lot, don't you?
Yeah. Ooh,
Have
that's
you
a
picked
good
up pickleball?
question. No, but I'm gonna.
You're going to?
Yeah, I think that's either within the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna do pickleball.
I'm afraid to because I think I'm going to like twist an ankle or a knee.
I love pickleball.
But it's like pickleball.
We
I think
talked
it's
about that.
that small.
Yeah, Lily's a pickleball
I'm
pro.
a pickleballer.
Is
No,
it like-
I wouldn't say a pro, but I
Is it-
practice.
Does it take a lot of like movement? Like
Sometimes,
tennis?
well, the courts are smaller.
Yeah.
So it's not as much movement.
Yeah.
But if it's like 2-on-2, then you barely have to move. But
Yeah.
1-on-1, that's where you have to move.
And I'm way too competitive. I hate losing at anything, so I would hurt myself
Oh no.
trying to win. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest downfall. I
Yeah.
got 2 downfalls. I have no empathy for people, and I'm too competitive.
You do not.
Absolutely, 100%.
You have no empathy for people?
For certain people, I don't. No empathy. No
Certain
empathy.
people have changed.
Certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have empathy for a lot of people.
It's just
there's-
like they're picking their own situation.
Yeah. When I know somebody can achieve something and they're making excuses, I stayed up too late gaming or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't. You should have gone to bed earlier. Should have got.
Yeah. Ooh, so when I'm like feeling in a rut, which happens a lot, I'm just gonna contact you so you can tell me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're dumb. Stop taking naps.
No
Get
excuses.
it together.
So how can someone reach you, Veronica? What's a good way?
I'm all over social media: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and my number. I don't know if that pops up on the screen, or if you're listening, you can't see it. So
Yeah.
do I say that?
You can, if you want to say your number.
Giving out my number.
Giving out
the
the number.
digits. It's 520-245-9602.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I know
you.
you're very busy, so I appreciate you carving out some time during the middle of your
I got to
day.
go take a nap now.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate it. And remember, if you want to do what you want to do, you got to do what you got to do. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Marketing Corner. Follow us on Facebook or visit us at csdesignsstudios.com today.